Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
So I just remembered I forgot to take vitamins today. And that's what we're going to talk about. And she just mentioned that just a second ago. Vitra Gosine joins us. She's the owner and medical director of LOTUS Life, the Center for Holistic Healing, and so much more. I always wonder about, by the way, thank you for being back here again today, Vitra. How you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
Doing well, except I have guilt that I should have taken my, and I only just started doing it about a week ago after years of not taking supplements, minerals, vitamins. And I'm like, you know what, let me just change it up. Let me try it. And I think I'm feeling a little more energy, maybe, I don't know, but let's go there. Let's talk about the, supplements. Are you a fan of them?
So I think, it does have supplements, I say vitamins and minerals. They do have a place for, people who have a known deficiency, for example. People with certain medical conditions may be sort of more prone to be deficient in certain vitamins and minerals. Clearly, we have to address that. If you're on certain medications, certain vitamins and minerals may be depleted. And then thirdly, it's been said that our soils across the globe are being depleted of nutrients. So, the things we eat get the nutrients from the soil. So, perhaps we may need some things there. But other than those things, and then bearing in mind, even if you take certain vitamins, mineral supplements, those levels, for the most part, depending on what you take, not all of them, may need to be monitored in the blood, like by blood work, meaning checking the levels in the blood, because you can get too much of it, and not all of them, but some of them can become, harmful and toxic. So there are situations in which, obviously, and like you mentioned, energy, yes, if, for example, if you're anemic, you lack iron, you may need to take those things. But again, those levels need to be monitored, because if not, they can change drastically over time, and you may be getting too much. And that also causes, medical issues as well.
If you're somebody who eats reasonably well, maybe you haven't had, the typical blood test, go once a year, whatever. Is it okay just to reach for, vitamins and just have one once a day? Is it going to do any harm at that level?
Okay, so the thing you got to consider for that. So first of all, the best place to get vitamins, minerals, nutrients is actually from the foods we eat. Why? Number one, it's a natural source. Your body recognizes when it breaks all the breakdown products easily. It's more bioavailable. It's more easily digested. And they're generally in what I call the safe levels, because it's in its natural diluted form. If you want to take a general multivitamin, and again, just to keep in mind, this is not advice for any specific person or medical condition, because I don't know each person's unique medical condition, but in general, on an average, average healthy adult, you want to make sure you read the percent daily value, meaning that sometimes when you look at the back of the bottle on the label, you want to make sure that it doesn't say like 300% of or 500% of your vitamin B12 level, for example, because this is a really common one. In other words, you're getting mega doses. You want to avoid the mega doses, the high potency, all of that stuff. A lot of people think more is better. I'm reminded of, Goldilocks and the three bears, too warm, too hot, too cold, and just right.
Right.
So we want to do it that way. There's a reason. And, normal is not just like one number in a normal range. You want to make sure that you're getting, remember also that even if you take vitamins, you want to read the label where it's saying not, 2-3 times what you need for the day, because not all vitamins, some vitamins that are water soluble are eliminated from the body, but there are some fat soluble vitamins like vitamin A, D, as in David, E, and K. And there are many other things that taken in excess or taken, mega doses can build up and become toxic, and it could affect different organ systems. So when you're reading the label, make sure you're actually seeing, what percentage of your daily value is it giving you so many times more than what you need. So that is really, really critical. A general multivitamin, fine. Specific vitamins, you want to check with your doctor first to see if you have a deficiency. How do you know that? Because you read on Google or you talk to your friend who has, another friend who advised you that, I took this and I feel great. We want people to feel good, but we also want to make sure that it's safe.
Yeah.
So,
And what I'm hearing from you, Vitra, is that every vitamin supplement is not created equally. So you really need to read it. And my out of the gate thinking is, well, here's one on the shelf, here's one on the shelf, here's one on the shelf. Whatever one's on sale or whatever, it doesn't matter. Let me just grab that one, but it's going to make a difference. So definitely read the label.
correct. So a couple of things. Not that I'm the vitamin Grinch, but I'm just going to say that it's these supplements, just so you know, it's a multi-billion with a B dollar business. Okay.
Yeah.
A lot of times, in many instances, because this is what I see every day, I see a lot of issues related to excess, I go down a medication list and my eyes are exhausted by the time I finish read the over-the-counter supplements, all the herbal, everything. And I'll talk a little bit about those things. There's benefit, medicinal value, but I'm going to explain to you in what way. So it's a multi-billion dollar business. It's kind of like trying to sell ice to an Eskimo. It's like it truly is, a business that it's becoming concerning because unsuspecting patients may reach for these things not knowing, with good intentions, by the way, and well-meaning advice from friends and family and whoever, and online, not realizing what can happen. So some of these things, like you said, which one's on sale? They've done some studies in, certain vitamins like, calcium, vitamin D, some of those things, and saw that some of the store brands, number one, a lot of these things are not regulated by the FDA. First of all, there's no standard, no regulatory body relating to this really. For the most part, as we do with, say, medications. Not that I'm a fan of or proposing medications, that's not what I'm saying. But number one, there's no real regulation. Number two, there can be contaminants and other substances in there that they don't really have to report. And they've done studies where chemical analysis, they've taken these things, just research, just randomly take them from different stores and taken them back to the lab to see, does it really contain what they say it contains? Many times, no. Many times not in the concentration they say, and sometimes contains other substances that shouldn't be there. A lot of these things, like for example, excess vitamins can lead to, or is associated with different types of cancer, right? Vitamin B12 is a prime example. Vitamin B12 is essential, for functioning of certain functions in the body. Taken in excess, there is an association now with certain types of cancers. Vitamin D, that's a big thing. We see many people with vitamin D deficiency, and it's critical to make sure you have those levels. Low vitamin D levels are associated with many medical conditions, but again, you don't want to get too much. It can harden arteries, calcify blood vessels, lead to kidney stones. So there's a lot of things that we got to look at, in terms of when we decide to take these vitamins. What is the reason you're taking it? Do you have a deficiency? Is someone monitoring the levels? When do you have to come down on the dose? Do you stop it for a while? So these are considerations that, we need to be mindful of.
So you mentioned a little while ago, by the way, I want to tell everybody your website. It's called mylotus.life, not .com, mylotus.life. And you mentioned just a moment ago, Vitra, that there are different herbal things that we could or should be taking. Right. Can we go over some of those? And we'll blanket this by saying, consult with your doctor first before you do. But yeah, what can you suggest?
Right. So when I said herbal, let me first say this. When I use the word herbal, I am actually referring instead to, there are two parts this, in general, for the general population, I'm actually referring to what we call phytochemicals, as in PHYTO, phytochemicals, which are powerful substances in the natural foods that we eat. Food is both nutrition and medicine. A plant-based diet, for the most part, contains, if you want to get, proper vitamins, minerals, nutrients, cancer-fighting, anti-inflammatory, anti-whatever, okay, anti-aging, all these substances, believe it or not, exist in the foods that we eat. for example. Okay, we talk about, for example, turmeric. Okay, turmeric. It's known for its powerful anti-inflammatory effects, but taken in excess, you can cause liver issues. It can actually be like a blood thinner. Now, if you combine turmeric with, say, black pepper, for example, instead of going to the store and buying a pill that contains it, why not buy the organic powdered form and cook with it? You're using these things in its natural, undiluted form. So you're getting the benefits, whereas you're not getting the toxic effects of excess. So a lot of people know that if you combine turmeric with black pepper, when it's heated and when it's added to some type of healthy fat, it really magnifies exponentially the active ingredient, which is called curcumin, in it. That's like one example that I'm using of how you can use a natural product, a natural food. Blueberries, it's simple things of fruits and vegetables. There's a wealth of resources out there. Again, I would like to add, get the information from reputable sites online. You want to look for like scholarly articles on whatever that is. So you're getting it from, for example, Harvard Health does a publication on some of these things. I'm just using one example. It's very important for people to get that information from reputable sources, not just anybody online with a blog. And the next thing you know, there's an advertisement for a product at the end of it. Okay, that's not reputable sources. Okay, they cannot have a dog in this fight. That's the key. Okay, it must be impartial. So when I was talking about different herbs, natural sources, I'm actually talking about phytochemicals. I did a podcast a couple podcasts ago before you and I spoke. And what I was talking about was a plant-based diet in terms of, and we were actually going through certain phytochemicals, which are actual substances in many different, plants and fruits and vegetables, that if you eat a balanced meal, that you will be getting these things. Secondly, if you do want to, what we do have are people who are qualified in really studying the medicinal benefits of these types of herbs and spices and fruits and vegetables. An herbologist, for example, someone who is actually qualified to understand toxicity, safety and efficacy of some of these products when they are extracted and given to patients or people in general. You want to, if you want to get those benefits, you want to be consulting with someone like that, not someone who, is manufacturing this and have, they have a business. They just want to get this off. This is someone who is a medical professional who understands these things. And again, the most natural thing to do is allow the natural and cellular intelligence of the body to do its thing. I think we really need to have a paradigm shift of why did we think that we needed all this in the first place? Why was this market created in the first place? Why do we start from a place of lack? I don't have, or I don't have enough. The body is the most intelligent and scientific machine that we have. Unfortunately, we don't, it doesn't come with a user's manual, but we need to trust that. So people automatically assume that they're deficient, and that carries over into their, physical health, mental, emotional, and spiritual health as well.
It's interesting that you say that, because we just take it for granted that when those things are out there on the shelf, it's got to be good for me. It's on there. It's there. And
yes,
not necessarily, like you said, the billion-dollar industry where,
correct,
these messages are being thrown out there, and we just, maybe we take it for granted. We trust, we think. We do have a question. And by the way, you can reach us anytime at instantfeedbacksteve@gmail.com. Tracy checks in from Searsport, Maine. She says, how do you feel about taking fish oil?
So eat the fish. So what are we taking fish oil for? So omega-3, I'm assuming, that's really now linked to, better cardiovascular health, decreasing the risk of Alzheimer's, and I can go on. So excellent question. So basically the fish oil. So a lot of times in even my patients, now I'm kind of switching gears to when I'm in my endocrine practice, my medical practice, and I'm seeing patients, people, for example, with high triglyceride levels, we have good cholesterol, bad cholesterol, and then triglycerides. So for example, some of those folks, and we ask them to do a low-fat diet, low saturated fat, all the unhealthy fats. We may suggest fish oil. But before even going there, first of all, if it's needed, sure, we will go ahead and suggest, get an over-the-counter fish oil supplement, contains omega-3, all of that. However, before that step, if you're just talking about in general, as a generally healthy adult, you can get all these sources. Nuts, for example, just the nuts that we eat, not salted with a whole bunch of stuff. I'm talking about the raw nuts, like, for example, walnuts, and there are many other kinds that you can look at. But you're going to want to look at that. That's an excellent source of omega-3. You can eat the fish, instead of just getting the fish oil. You can do that. Now, I'm a vegetarian, but what I'm saying is you can get the omega-3, get the benefit in a more natural way. So yes, you can have that supplement if it's necessary, but I think there's a step before that, which is, what are you eating as far as from how can you get these, the same benefits from food? Like I said, food, people don't realize that food is the most powerful medicine that we have. It is both nutrition. We eat food because it supplies energy that allows us to grow and function and do all the things, the processes that occur in the body. But it is truly the best preventative. And in many cases, when I use the word treatment, I don't want to say that supersedes some medical treatment that you may actually need for a particular condition, but it certainly complements it. So I would say try the natural foods that contain those omega-3s first in moderation. And if it is still needed, then yes, you can add it, but make sure someone's monitoring, because fish oil taken in excess can also sort of thin the blood or be a blood thinner. So you want to be careful with that.
So
okay?
couple of things I want to bring up based on what you just said, Vitra. We take food for granted, because when you present it in such a way that it is medicine, it is that important in your body. If we're mindful of that, I think many of us are probably not going to reach for as much garbage as we normally do. And
Yes.
It's cliche, but it's been beaten up so much that we don't even think of it, but you are what you eat. So when you're eating all those chips and everything, what are you really doing? On the fish oil, I had a memory here based on what you just said. I started taking it, not a huge dose. I don't eat seafood. I know I should. Had a bad experience, and I don't. Yeah, a little bit here and there, but I just, I'm not going to sit down and have a salmon steak. So I started eating at the recommendation of somebody I know who's a fitness guy and a very plugged into diet, taking fish oil, but the higher quality one, which makes a real big difference. Instead of just grabbing the cheapy stuff, you're probably wasting your money. Just what you said, though. I stopped taking it because I got a nosebleed and because it thins the blood. And I'm thinking, I like to go back to it because I think the benefits are there, but just, and I don't think I was taking a lot, but I got a nosebleed. So yeah, it's doing its job.
Have some nuts.
Yeah. Okay. So let's go there. Let's get there. To take nuts to get omega-3 and other nutrients, you are taking in fat. So there's actually
correct. Fat. But you're getting your healthy kinds of fat. So that's the thing.
Okay.
So just so you know, fats, that's so, let me put up a disclaimer, as I always do. What I'm telling you today, if tomorrow an article comes out that says, hey, from research that, we're now going to modify this opinion, I'm open to that as well. So like, I like to say that we do the best with what we know now. So up to this point, so they're healthy fats. So the fats in, say, like, for example, nuts, avocados, those kinds of fats, those are the healthy fats, right? And so just so you know, people have forgotten that carbohydrates, but the good kind, is necessary. The brain can only use glucose, which is a breakdown product of carbs, right? So it's the right type, the right amount, and at the right time of day. We've gone crazy with all these micronutrients, which is why I brought this topic up today with the supplements, that we've forgotten the macronutrients, like the basics: carbs, protein, and fats. So they're healthy fats. Avocados, for example, contain a substance that there are many clinical trials, just so you know, ongoing, extracting substances from some of these things, some of these foods, I should say, fruits, vegetables, things like that, for many different conditions. Cancer is one of them, okay? So avocado supplies the healthy type of fat, okay? And like I say, nuts, again, you're not gonna eat everything that I talk about is in moderation. You're not going to eat 2 cups of nuts a day. You know, it's again, and for each person, it will vary depending on their medical conditions, their body weight, so many different things. So we have to keep that in mind in terms of, because you hear the buzzword fat, not all fats are created equal. You know, 100 calories of blueberries is not the same as 100 calories of potato chips, you know. It really is that food is medicine. So yes, the way I personally, people ask me how I choose the foods is I want to make sure that whatever I eat, it's the most nutritionally dense, meaning that I am getting the best bang for my buck in terms of nutrition. I don't want to waste my time eating all this junk. And that's not to say that as a human, I don't have, you know, things I shouldn't be eating sometimes. We do it, and probably we should, if we really do crave something, as long as it's not too bad, maybe everything in moderation. Because if you try to be that strict, then you would probably go off the deep end and start eating everything you shouldn't be eating. You want to kind of, you know, satisfy that fire so you can go the distance, because it's not a short term, this is a lifestyle. So I want, really what I would like my patients and people to think is, we have to start off with our frame of reference and how we view this, our paradigm. And that is that food really is medicine, okay? Because it starts from there. It's anti-inflammatory, anti-cardiovascular disease, you know, anti-autoimmune. I can go on and on. And this is what we want to think of. And don't think when you hear the word fats or carbs, you immediately a red flag. No, they are good carbs, good fats.
So that being said, and I totally got you when we're talking about nuts. I had a visual of, like, a lot of times when we eat stuff like that, we're just reaching in the can and just keep going. And you're not, you know, if you're going to do that, and let's say you get your omega-3 from that, have a portion, and that's it.
Correct.
Yeah.
So what I do is, like, for myself, it's taken out and closed, and that's all I have, you know, kind of like that's all I can get for the day, you know.
But you know what? You appreciate it more.
Yes,
you know,
yes.
You're not going to like, right? You're going to look at it and say, yeah, all right, I'm going to tap the brakes on that because, you know, I only have like 4 more bites and I'm going to make it count. And that's all I really need. I want to ask you, with the last couple of minutes that we have left here, Vitra, we talked about, you mentioned protein, fat, and carbs. What's your feel on that in terms of the balance of what we should be getting? Because I kind of wrestle with that. You know, you had the South Beach diet, you have the zone diet and all of that. What's your thoughts?
Okay, so let me just tell you that I deal with this, you know, every day with my patients, especially my diabetic patients. So number one, I would not advise eliminating carbohydrates from your diet. It's not a good thing. In fact, they've done studies more recently that some of the longest living people in the world, they're eating good carbs, okay, for longevity. Good carbs meaning whole grain, whole wheat, no preservatives in the bread, things like that, you know. So the balance, you know, if you have, depending on your medical condition, if you have diabetes, high sugar levels, you want to you know, minimize the carbohydrates, but you still need to have the good carbs. Good carbs are things like sweet potatoes, brown rice, 100% whole wheat, whether it's bread or pasta, things like that. So you want to have, you know, a small portion, but it still needs to be done. Protein, you know, you want to have, you know, there are plant-based proteins. Beans, for example, are one of them. Nuts, another form. You want to, you know, I tell patients, always avoid red meat completely. That should be eliminated from your diet. There's a direct link between that and colon cancer, okay, flat out. So those are proteins.
That hurt, by the way. I try to cut back, but it's like I was even looking at a steak in my refrigerator before I left today. I'm like, yeah, maybe I'll get you later. But yeah, I hear you.
And then and fats, obviously the healthy kind of fats, avocados, like I said, nuts, there's so many different, healthy kinds. So you still need to have a balanced diet. You ask about all the different types of diets. Paleo, any diet that's high in saturated fat, telling you eat a lot of red meat, we're seeing higher incidences of cardiovascular diseases and things like that. If you want so that's a kind of high fat animal protein type thing, increase in saturated fats, bad cholesterol, all that stuff. The other side, high protein, really just only protein diet, it has a negative impact on your kidneys. Your kidneys have to break down products of protein, have to metabolize that and eliminate that from your body. So there has to be a balance. You are going to be taking in all carbohydrates, the healthy fats, the good carbs, healthy fats, and protein. I am a big proponent, not that I have any dog in this fight, of a plant-based diet. I'm not saying that you need to be vegan, but it has been shown over and over again. And having a balance, there still has to be common sense. One quick last thing I just want to say, we're talking about supplements, but we also need to look at lifestyle, not just food as medicine. Food is only one concept. Exercise, the amount of quality of sleep that you're getting, eating habits, stress management, your sense of belonging, the relationships that you're in, all these things, your connection with nature, with yourself. This is health, physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. So we have to look at this whole thing. It doesn't make sense having a salad with, whatever and supplements, but you're doing everything else and you're unhappy in as a human being. These things affect in the brain all the neurohormonal control of processes in the body, and they wreak havoc and cause disease.
And you might not even realize it. Why do some people have ulcers? Oh, it's genetic or it's something I'm eating. No, you may be stressed out. You may have anxiety. You might not be happy in relationships, like you said. And all of these things can fester and grow and take their toll on your body. I got to tell you, Vitra, I love the way you explain things. They're so clear and so it's easy to, no pun intended, digest. Yeah, and I really appreciate it. I wish we could go longer. We're definitely out of time.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, good stuff today. If you want to find out more about the center, mylotus.life, mylotus.life. And Vitra, looking forward to talking again sometime soon.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house.
And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned.
This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.